Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Homan did absolutely nothing wrong.
The White House is pushing back against bribery allegations involving Trump's Border Czar Tom Homan. Spokeswoman Karoline Leavitt said that U.S. President Donald Trump stands by Tom Homan 100% and denied any wrongdoing. She insisted that FBI agents and prosecutors found no evidence of illegal activity or criminal wrongdoing by Homan. This after several reports claim that Homan accepted a $50,000 cash payment from an undercover FBI agent last year. The alleged sting was part of a Justice Department bribery probe that has since been closed without charges. In the alleged scheme, Homan promised immigration-related government contracts when he joined the Trump administration in exchange for the money, as per reports. As per reports, Homan accepted $50,000 in a bag from the restaurant chain Cava during a 2024 meeting. Undercover FBI agents, posing as businessmen, sought government contracts in a possible second Trump term, as per reports. Several reports claim that Homan appeared to agree to help secure border security contracts if Trump won re-election. The probe was not originally targeting Homan, but his involvement drew scrutiny after recordings surfaced. The Justice Department shut the case down after Trump began his second term earlier this year. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy AG Todd Blanche said that the case began under Biden's DOJ. They stressed a full review by FBI and justice officials found no credible evidence of wrongdoing.
Going back to the president's social media post from over the weekend regarding the DOJ and his seeming frustration that they hadn't taken action quickly enough, I want to point to something that the president said during his inaugural address. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. We will not allow that to happen. Is the president going back on his promise?
No. In fact, the president is fulfilling his promise to restore a Department of Justice that demands accountability. And it is not weaponizing the Department of Justice to demand accountability for those who weaponized the Department of Justice. And nobody knows what that looks like more than President Trump. We are not going to tolerate gaslighting from anyone in the media or from anyone on the other side who is trying to say that it's the president who is weaponizing the DOJ. It was Joe Biden and his attorney general who weaponized the DOJ. Joe Biden used this sacred American institution to go after his political opponent in the middle of an election year. And you look at people like Adam Schiff and like James Comey and like Letitia James, who the president is rightfully frustrated. He wants accountability for these corrupt fraudsters who abused their power, who abused their oath of office to target the former president and then candidate for the highest office in the land. And I think the president is reaffirmed in those frustrations and his hope for accountability by the millions and millions of people who reelected him to this office with a mandate to demand accountability. And the president has not been shy about this, Gabe. In fact, when he traveled to the Department of Justice earlier this year, all of you were there to cover it. He said, quote, "I demand a full and complete accountability for wrongs and abuses that have occurred. The American people gave a mandate to investigate and root the corruption out of our system." And that's what the president wants to see done.
Karoline.
Ed.
On the autism issue again, there are reams of scientific research that suggests there's no clear link between autism and acetaminophen usage. You're suggesting today they may have new information on this. A lot of it, and this entire debate, has the potential to confuse women, especially pregnant women, about what to do. What do you say to those that say what you're doing today potentially just introduces more confusion into the debate?
I think women for many years, in fact for decades, Ed, have been confused by the rapid increase in autism in this country. In the childhood epidemic that is chronic epidemic, disease epidemic that is plaguing America's youth. Women are confused about that and they want answers to that. And that's exactly what this administration is focused on finding. And before you jump to conclusions based on reports that the White House has not even confirmed, I would encourage everyone in this room to go into the 4 o'clock announcement with some critical thinking skills and with some open ears to actually listen to what the president and his team of outsiders have to say about this. And there will be a number of things that will be announced and discussed. And I think, I know as a mother myself, I speak, I believe, for many mothers across the country who really want answers to what is happening to our nation's children. So again, I won't get ahead of the president, but I think everyone in this room needs to tone down the judgment before you even hear what people are going to say. Sure.
Thanks, Karoline. So too on the Homan investigation, I mean, can you just speak to, did the president ask the Justice Department to close the case, and does Homan
No.
have to return the $50,000?
Well, Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Homan did absolutely nothing wrong, and even the president's Department of Justice, even Kash Patel's FBI, looked into this just to make sure. They had a number of different prosecutors and FBI agents who looked into this. They found zero evidence of illegal activity or criminal wrongdoing. In the White House and the president stand by Tom Homan 100% because he did absolutely nothing wrong, and he is a brave public servant who has done a phenomenal job in helping the president shut down the border. Mary.
Thanks, Karoline. I have 2 questions on far-left violence.
Sure.
The first one, the president said yesterday that the bullet hit Charlie, but it was aimed at every one of us. Do you and your colleagues have a heightened sense of fear following this shooting and this far-left violence we're seeing across the country?
I certainly think there's a heightened sense of awareness by conservatives across the country, by all of us here at the White House. Again, as I said to Monica, many of us were personal friends with Charlie and had involvement with Turning Point before we came and served our government in this way. So certainly it's a very shocking incident. And I think, it's very unfortunate that those of us who work in this movement have to think about violence just for speaking our minds and for supporting President Trump.
And as a follow-up on that, I asked the president last night on Air Force One about this pattern of transgender violence we're seeing. Charlie's killer lived with his boyfriend who identifies as transgender, and then we had the Annunciation shooting, the Covenant shooting, all of these incidents. The president said that we're looking into transgender violence. Does that mean the FBI is looking into it? And can you give any more clarity on how the administration is viewing this uptake in specifically transgender violence?
It's definitely something worth looking into, and I think anyone who denies that at this point is being willfully ignorant. And the administration is taking it seriously, all causes of violence, and why these people would be driven to such evil and such hatred. And there's probably many answers to that question, but the administration is really focused on all of them. For individual investigations and cases, of course, the FBI and the Department of Justice are leading those. But as for this overall violence and domestic terrorism that we're seeing, the White House and the president's policy team will be leading the charge. And that really begins with designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. And I can assure you there will be additional actions to come.